Samabuchi Mutua of Lexin Consulting Limited supported Kenya's move towards a national tax cooperation and transparency, but raised concerns regarding the need for adequate safeguards in the implementation of crypto asset reporting framework. He observed that the proposed provisions would expressly align with Article 24 and 31 of the Constitution of Kenya and Data Protection Act to ensure that the collection and exchange of crypto asset information respects taxation's privacy. Mr. Mutua recommended that reporting obligations be limited to information that is necessary, relevant, and proportionate, and consistent with the principles of data minimization and purpose limitation. This committee agrees with the state stakeholder and will therefore be proposing amendments at the Committee of the Whole House tomorrow when this Honorable House will be seeking to do the Committee of the Whole House. Honorable Speaker, Clause 41 is proposing to empower the Commissioner to issue tax assessments where available information indicates that a taxpayer has not fully declared or paid the tax due. The provision is anchored on Kenya's self-assessment system, under which taxpayers declare their own income and tax liabilities. However, the Commissioner may also rely on information obtained from third-party sources, electronic tax systems, financial records, customs data, and other lawful sources which may indicate discrepancies in declared tax provisions. The committee observed that where the proposal strengthens tax administration by enabling data-driven and system-generated systems, it is necessary to provide adequate procedure safeguards to protect taxpayers' rights. The committee therefore recommended the introduction of Section 29A to the Clause 29A to the Tax Procedures Act, requiring that the Commissioner must disclose the information sources and computations relied upon in making an assessment. The committee further recommends that such disclosure be a condition for the validity of assessment. And in that case, in case of a dispute, the Commissioner bears the burden of demonstrating the accuracy and reliability of information used, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, it's very important that I speak to this, I give more context to this matter, Honorable Speaker. Because Clause 41 is providing for powers to the Commissioner to use other sources of third-party data to do a tax assessment on a taxpayer, Honorable Speaker. That would mean they could rely on information, whether it is from whichever source, Honorable Speaker. And Honorable Speaker, although they already have access to that information, Honorable Speaker, because of information sharing, and of course the use now of ITIMs and requirement that all invoices that are allowable have been issued through the ITIMs system, Honorable Speaker, giving the Commissioner the absolute right to do an assessment on you without giving the taxpayer the source of that information would be against principles, Honorable Speaker, of justice, Honorable Speaker. It is important that in international best practice that you allowed, Honorable Speaker, to know the source of information that Honorable Speaker, you are being accused of, and not having that burden on the taxpayer. The burden of, it's called the principle of burden of proof, Honorable Speaker, should be on the Commissioner and not on the taxpayer. A taxpayer should not be allowed to self-incriminate themselves in terms of their tax liability, Honorable Speaker. Clause 43 is proposing to introduce a one-year tax amnesty under the Tax Procedures Act, running from 1st of July 2026 to 30th of June 2027. The amnesty, Honorable Speaker, will apply to tax liabilities accrued up to 31st December 2025 and will allow taxpayers to regularize outstanding obligations by paying the principal tax due within the amnesty period. Upon fulfillment of the prescribed conditions, penalties, interest, and fines relating to the eligible tax debts will be waived. The proposal intends to provide a final time-bound opportunity for taxpayers to settle historic tax liabilities, enhance compliance, and improve revenue collection for outstanding tax, Honorable Speaker. So this particular tax proposal, Honorable Speaker, is expected when we had a tax amnesty in 2023, we facilitated in terms of outstanding debt liabilities that attracted 1.6 million shillings.
When we did this tax amnesty in 2023, we had 1.6 million.
I'd hate to interrupt you, but I just want to recognize the school which is here, and then you can continue. Honorable members, I wish to recognize the presence in the purple gallery of students from the Kibirio Konin Junior School, Baringo North, in Baringo County. Please, any member from those sides of Baringo? Yes. The lady at the back there. Mheshimiwa, continue. Honorable.
Thank you so much, Honorable Speaker. Let me take this opportunity to welcome the students and the teachers from Baringo County. Baringo is a neighboring county from Elgeyo Marakwet County, and we share in so many things. I just want to encourage all of you that sky is the limit. There is a possibility that if you do your school very well, if you learn very well, one day, one time, you'll find yourselves in this house or in other better places. This is a house where we legislate, where we make the laws of this honorable country. And I want to encourage all of you that education is the only equalizer. Thank you so much and welcome again to Nairobi. Thank you.
The Honorable Woman Rep from Taita Taveta. You can encourage the students up here in Kiswahili also, because we need also to hear.
Asante sana Bwana Spika kwa kunipatia hii fursa, na mimi nichukue fursa hii kuweza kuwakaribisha wanafunzi kutoka mashule mbalimbali na vile vile kuwakaribisha wote. Hapo awali nilikuwa na opinion leaders kutoka Taita Taveta hapa, na nataka kuambia wakaribie hapa bunge.
Hawa ni wa kutoka Baringo.
Hawa ni wa kutoka Baringo, lakini awali kulikuwa na opinion leaders hapa wa kutoka Taita Taveta vile vile. So kwa jumla nawaambia karibu sana bunge. Hapa ndo tunatunga sheria, hapa kunakuwa na majadiliano ya kuboresha hii Kenya yetu, na kwa hivyo wajisikie vizuri kuwa hapa na wawe na wakati mwema hapa bungeni na hapa Nairobi. Asante.
Where is Honorable Makilap?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. May I also take this opportunity on behalf of the people of Baringo North and join you on behalf of Parliament to congratulate Kipriyo Kwanin, JSS class, comprehensive school, for visiting Parliament, together with their teachers and representatives of parents, that this is the house where the people of Baringo North sent me to serve them in doing legislation, oversight, and representation. If you work hard, students, you will find yourself here or any sector of government. It only calls upon you to be disciplined and hardworking. There are only two things: hard work, discipline will take you places across the world and across Kenya. I want to welcome them again, and the future is bright. That is one of the brightest schools, the school that does very well in Baringo North, Mr. Speaker, and I wish them success as they go back home.
Fair enough. Chairman, Finance, you can continue with your presentation.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I was discussing close the issue of tax amnesty, Honorable Speaker. When this Honorable House in the Finance Act of 2023 provided for a window for tax amnesty, Honorable Speaker, we had 1 million applications, Honorable Speaker, that were lodged by the Kenya Revenue Authority. To the Kenya Revenue Authority, this, Honorable Speaker, resulted to 54.5 billion shillings in declared principal tax, and 43.9 billion shillings was collected between September 2023 and June 2024, Honorable Speaker. So it's important. There has been demonstration that when there is provision of a tax amnesty, Honorable Speaker, then we have taxpayers that go and offer to pay their principal tax, and therefore, when you pay your principal tax, all your interest and penalties, Honorable Speaker, are forgiven. Honorable Speaker, however, the committee noted that although this provides a very good relief to taxpayers, Honorable Speaker, it is very dangerous for the country, Honorable Speaker. And it could actually be termed as being unfair, Honorable Speaker, because if, for example, as a tax compliant taxpayer, I paid my principal tax last year, I paid my penalty last year. If there was any penalty, if there was any interest, then that means I paid both my principal tax, my interest, and my penalties, Honorable Speaker. Then this House then passes a law to forgive interest and penalties for those who did not pay, Honorable Speaker. It would mean that someone who did not pay their so me who paid my interest and penalties, Honorable Speaker, then I would be disadvantaged. Honorable Speaker, some of the taxpayers were saying then, if you are going to forgive all interest and penalties for those who do not pay the interest and penalties this year, then maybe you should also refund those people that pay their interest and penalties, Honorable Speaker, for it to be fair. So we advise, Honorable Speaker, that although this, of course, will ensure there is enhancement of revenue collection, it's going to provide a relief to those people, Honorable Speaker, who had a difficult economic time. Honorable Speaker, we had still many businesses that are recovering from COVID, Honorable Speaker, but tax amnesty is a policy direction the National Treasury should carry, so that people do not continuously fail to honor their obligations because expecting, Honorable Speaker, that next year but one, there is to be a tax amnesty, Honorable Speaker. Clause 45, Honorable Speaker, is proposing to amend the Tax Procedures Act to allow the Commissioner to issue agency notices for the recovery of tax where a matter has been determined in favor of the Commissioner and to stay order and no stay order has been granted. Under the current legal framework, the issuance of agency notices is restricted once a taxpayer lodges an appeal, even in circumstances where the tax appeals tribunal or a court has already determined the matter in favor of the Commissioner, thereby, Honorable Speaker, delaying recovery of tax in the absence of a stay order. The proposed amendment is seeking to align tax recovery procedures with the principle that the filing of an appeal does not on its own suspend enforcement unless a stay is granted, thereby facilitating timely recovery of confirmed tax liabilities when preserving the taxpayer's right to seek a stay from the relevant forum, Honorable Speaker. During stakeholder engagement, concerns were raised regarding the proposed expansion of the Commissioner's enforcement powers. The Law Society of Kenya, that was represented by the Vice President, Resia Bavinya Nicholas, the Council members and members of Tax Committee raised concerns over the reintroduction of proposals that were previously been rejected, including the changes to appeal timelines and expanded agency notice powers. The Law Society observed that permitting agency notices during the pendency of objections, appeals, alternative dispute resolution processes, or court proceedings could undermine the taxpayer's right to challenge tax decisions, weaken dispute resolution safeguards, and affect access to justice, Honorable Speaker. And this, Honorable Speaker, they noted that this would be in contradiction of Articles 47, 48, and 50 of our Constitution, Honorable Speaker. And therefore, this committee, Honorable Speaker, and our committee of the whole House will be recommending further amendments, Honorable Speaker, to ensure that taxpayer, yes, has a chance to fair justice, Honorable Speaker, but also that there is no, but also Kenya Revenue Authority is able to make their collections on time, Honorable Speaker. Clause 47 is proposing to remove the provisions introduced under the Finance Act 2025 to allow overpaid tax to be offset against tax payable on imported goods as well as domestic tax liabilities. Previously, verified VAT refunds could be offset against the taxpayer's future domestic tax obligations, including income tax, installment tax, excise duty, and future VAT liabilities. The proposal is designed to align a tax administration to ensure that refund offsets remain within the appropriate domestic tax framework while maintaining consistency with the customs regime which governs tax payable at importation under separate rules for assessment and collection. The committee observed that restricting the offsetting of tax overpayments against VAT on imports would adversely affect taxpayers' cash flows and increase working capital pressures, and therefore the committee will be proposing further amendment to this particular clause, Honorable Speaker. Clause 48 is proposing to amend Section 89(5)(a) of the TPA Act to empower the Commissioner to waive penalties and interest arising from electronic system errors up to a limit of 2 million shillings without requiring the approval of the Cabinet Secretary National Treasury, Speaker. Honorable Speaker, the proposal is also intended to facilitate a swift resolution of tax-related tax issues, reduce avoidance disputes, and enhance tax confidence in the use of digital tax administration. Honorable Speaker, the committee notes that with the advanced use of electronic systems for the Kenya Revenue Authority, Honorable Speaker, there are chances that there could be errors that could be that would not be deliberate by a taxpayer, Honorable Speaker, but system errors, Honorable Speaker, that would lead to interest and penalties being waived unfairly on the taxpayer, Honorable Speaker. And therefore, it's important that we give a threshold in which, Honorable Speaker, the Commissioner, after satisfying himself that the errors are system generated, then they will be allowed to offset up to a limit of 2 million shillings. Honorable Speaker, Clause 49 is proposing a deletion of Section 77(2) of the Tax Procedures Act, which currently excludes Saturdays, Sundays, and public holidays in the computation of timelines for tax obligations. Honorable Speaker, the existing provision has, however, created uncertainty in the computation of time for various tax processes, including the filing of objections, applications, and other statutory bound actions, Honorable Speaker. This uncertainty is further compounded by the shift to digital tax administration system, including KRA platform and the judiciary e-filing system, which operate beyond conventional working days. This amendment is therefore intended to streamline and modernize the computation of timelines within the tax system. The committee observed that including weekends and public holidays in the computation of timelines for tax objections and appeals would effectively shorten the period available to taxpayers to exercise their rights. This may increase the risk of procedural default, particularly where deadlines fall immediately after non-working days. The committee noted that the proposal raises concerns regarding procedural fairness and the right to a fair hearing under Article 50 of our Constitution, as it limits taxpayers' ability to adequately prepare and lodge objections or appeals. The committee is therefore recommending deletion of this particular proposal to ensure that taxpayers are offered a reasonable and practical period within which to exercise their statutory rights, Honorable Speaker. The committee observed that they need to strengthen enforcement framework for recovery of government revenue collected by KRA on behalf of government agencies, Honorable Speaker. The committee notes that although several levies, for example, including the housing levy, KRA has been given the authority under the respective statutes as the collecting agents, Honorable Speaker. Most of these particular agencies, Honorable Speaker, KRA has not been given enforcement powers, Honorable Speaker. And therefore, we note that it is very important, that it's important to have now a consequential amendment to amend the Affordable Housing Act, for example, to include, to give to raise, first of all, the current rate that for agency fees collected from 0.5 to making it a maximum of 2%, Honorable Speaker, but most importantly, to give KRA the power to enforce the collection of these levies, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, the committee proposes, these proposals reflect not only stakeholders' input, but sound economic reasoning grounded in Keynesian fiscal stimulus principles. The Finance Bill of 2026 is supporting aggregate demand, is promoting employment, is stimulating economic growth through targeted incentives in housing, manufacturing, and green technology, while at the same time preserving fiscal discipline, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, as we deliberate on the Finance Bill of 2026, it is imperative that we prioritize measures that effectively expand the tax base while at the same time maintaining a balance with the broader economic environment, which may include, Honorable Speaker, innovative tax policy approaches, including incentivizing compliance, simplifying tax procedures, and addressing structural barriers that constrain revenue growth, Honorable Speaker. Mr. Speaker, addressing these issues proactively and implementing effective tax policies will help increase our tax revenue collection in line with the economic potential. This will strengthen our fiscal position, allowing for investments in key sectors, social welfare programs, and infrastructure development, fostering sustainable economic growth to benefit all Kenyans. Honorable Speaker, this enormous task has been possible through the collective commitment and cooperation of all those who contributed to the legislative process. The committee's work was greatly enriched by submissions, views, and insights provided by stakeholders, members of the public, and various institutions, which ensured that the bill was considered from a broad and inclusive perspective. Our engagement, Honorable Speaker, received views from across 13 different countries, Honorable Speaker, and it's very important, Honorable Speaker, to note that we received over 100,000 submissions from members of the public. Honorable Speaker, one of the greatest things, and I'm happy that this honorable House has been able to achieve, Honorable Speaker, is tax education is now in the lips of every Kenyan. Honorable Speaker, it was amazing to go to counties like Wajir and counties like Turkana and listen to ordinary citizens explaining the difference between the first and second schedule of the VAT Act, the difference between between zero rating and exempting, Honorable Speaker. And this shows that Kenyans are willing to be involved in the running of the affairs of this country, Honorable Speaker. I am happy that this time around, and I'd like really to congratulate our Cabinet Secretary for National Treasury, FCPA Bandi, Honorable Speaker, but for going out of his way to try to explain to Kenyans and to demystify all the misinformation and disinformation out there, Honorable Speaker. Because I think previously the Finance Bill, Honorable Speaker, used to be left to be a baby of this House, Honorable Speaker, and the executive will just dump it on us and leave us to explain to the members of the public. But I'm very impressed that this time around the National Treasury, led by the PS and the CS, actively engaged Kenyans so that by the time, Honorable Speaker, we are going to public participation, then we had Kenyans already informed of the particular clauses in that particular bill, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, it's also important to mention that one of the constant submissions we got from the members of the public, although lawmaking is a complex process and it's a legal process that must go in a particular way, this House must innovate in how we communicate to members of the public on proposals of the bills, Honorable Speaker. Because on many occasions, even when we provided members of the public with copies of the bills, Honorable Speaker, they would read and say, Honorable Speaker, some of the clauses in the bill, Honorable Speaker, are usually a deletion of a deletion. So, Honorable Speaker, you read the bill and say you are deleting clause 9. But, Honorable Speaker, when you go now the proposal say to delete section 9, say, for example, of the Tax Procedures Act, only for you to go to section 9 of the Tax Procedures Act and you say it's a deletion, Honorable Speaker. So it's a deletion of a deletion. And this particular process, Honorable Speaker, makes it very complicated for ordinary Kenyans to understand legal drafting, Honorable Speaker. So I think I throw this to the people in our legal drafters. Let us find a simplified way, a simplified version of how we do our bills, Honorable Speaker, to the members of the public. Honorable Speaker, it's also important to mention, Honorable Speaker, also other Kenyans said that the way we communicate in English, Honorable Speaker, we have 3 official languages. We have English, we have Swahili, and we have sign language, Honorable Speaker. And therefore, it is important that even the bills that are published by this House are published in the 2 official languages, Honorable Speaker, in English and Swahili. So they enable other Kenyans, Honorable Speaker, who would prefer Swahili as a language of choice, Honorable Speaker, to understand our legal process and to understand our business, Honorable Speaker. As we go to the supply of the whole House, Honorable Speaker, Kenyans also really cautioned us on the need to ensure there is value for money for where this money is going, Honorable Speaker. Many Kenyans told us expressly, Honorable Speaker, that they are not opposed to taxation. But, Honorable Speaker, they want to see value for the money where these particular resources are going to. So my urge to all members of the executive, let us be prudent in the use of these financial resources. Let us make sure that these particular resources, when they are supplied to yourselves, go towards value for money, towards economic development, and towards the projects of this particular country, Honorable Speaker. Lastly, Honorable Speaker, the issue of introducing tax deductibility, Honorable Speaker, to Kenyans that are earning below 30,000 shillings was highly canvassed in all our discussion, Honorable Speaker, and is our recommendation to the National Treasury, Honorable Speaker, to go back to the drawing board and let us find a way of waiving, Honorable Speaker, taxpayers or employed Kenyans who earn less than 30,000 shillings. It's also, Honorable Speaker, submissions by institutions like Kenya Bankers Association, Honorable Speaker, that high-income earners are paying up to 35% of income tax, Honorable Speaker, and this particular income tax, they are not allowed to deduct their expenses, and therefore this committee recommends that the National Treasury looks into overhauling all the tax bans, Honorable Speaker, so that because with the increased contributions to SHA and with the affordable housing levy, Honorable Speaker, these have levied a burden on especially salary Kenyans, and therefore important that we consider an overhaul of these tax bans, Honorable Speaker. We tried to do that in our report, Honorable Speaker, but realized the data that we need to analyze would be immense. So we ask National Treasury, because we have the tools to do that, let us analyze and do an overhaul on all of a pay-as-you-earn bans, Honorable Speaker. With those many remarks, again, I want to thank the dedicated team of the members of the Finance National Committee, Honorable Speaker, our staff that worked through weekends, through the night, Honorable Speaker. We were leaving, even this time to come to this, to do this, our report, we left the hotel in the morning, Honorable Speaker, and I want to thank them for that dedication. Those many remarks, I beg to move, and I ask the Honorable CPA Julius Ruto, the MP for Great Member of KSS, to second. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Yes, proceed, Honorable.
Thank you so much, Mr. Speaker. May I rise to second this motion on Finance Bill financial year 2026. Mr. Speaker,